some inspiring. Peace and quiet, I'm running from the sirens. They ain't been around, but they know about where I've been. Had to put the time in to let them know what time. Fuck a plug, you don't need it when you plugged in. They know it's us, we don't need no introductions. It's just us, we don't need no one for nothing. But it's always something. Skipping town, cause I really can't be around it. Sometimes the only way to go is right around it. Had some shit to say, I didn't like the way it sounded, so I left it where I found it. Yeah. Why stop now? Why stop now? No, not my style, not my style. Yeah, drop top down, that's my style. Why stop now, baby? Why stop now? PCH driving, I needed some inspiring. Peace and quiet, I'm running from the sirens. They ain't been around, but they know about where I've been. Had to put the time in to let them know what time it is. Got that in common, we all feel the pressure. Bitch, I'm plugged in, yeah, the vibe is electric. Room full of comments, they all trying to sex me. Feel like Dennis Rodman in 1997. You ready? I don't do this, but I do tonight. I do. Okay. Eat that pussy like it's food tonight.
Hey, pipe up, Hood Rich.
Doing something different, had to switch it up. Turned up in my section, every night we live it up. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck. Doing something different, had to switch it up. Turned up in my section, every night we live it up. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck.
It's Hill. Taysom Hill picks up the Saints first down, still going. Wow.
I don't care if you let how step. I don't care if you let how rip. I don't care if you let how step. I don't care if you let how rip. I got sauce, I got flavor. Getting all this paper. I got sauce, I got flavor. Getting all this paper. Plain Jane Paddock on my motherfucking wrist. They notice every time when I walk up in this bitch. Hustle, walk up in this bitch. Keep my Glock up in this bitch. Hustle, walk up in this bitch. Keep my Glock up in this bitch. My trap ain't hit. My trap ain't hit.
Martinez
my
steps up.
My 40 ain't hit. I don't care if you let how step. I don't care if you let how rip. I don't care if you let how step. I don't care if you let how rip.
Give me that old
Doing something different, and I had to switch it up. Turned up in my section, every night we live it up.
The people that interacted with us during that time and also watched the video. So today, we're not talking about NFL. We're talking about my college football predictions. Now, I do college football a little differently. I really dig in and do my research with college because that's my bread and butter. I know this shit by heart. I predicted that Oklahoma State was going to go to the Big 12 championship when y'all called me crazy. So here we are again, 2024. What does TJ know about college football this season? We're going to predict the Power 4 conferences. Notice I said Power 4 instead of Power 5. The Pac-12 is now the Pac-2 with Oregon State and Washington State. They are now considered a group of 5, whereas you got new teams going into, or new programs going into conferences like Stanford and Cal going to the ACC. USC, UCLA, Washington, Oregon going into the Big Ten, Arizona State, Utah, new members of the Big 12, and a returning member, former Big 12 champs, Colorado, and Deion Sanders. Prime time going back to the Big 12, where they will face their old foes, the Hateful Eight, and some familiar or new faces: Cincinnati, BYU, Houston, UCF, and also TCU, where they've had a couple of pre-conference matchups in the past couple of years. I'm excited about this season. And also, the SEC adds on to their legacy with Texas and Oklahoma. Now, people are blaming the shift in the conferences on Texas and Oklahoma when you should blame it on USC and UCLA. I said it from the very jump. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the 2024 college football predictions. Who I think is going to be the dark horse of the conference. Who I think is going to be overhyped. Who I think is going to be in the conference championship. And who's going to win the conference championship and be the automatic bid for the college football playoffs. Since now we have expanded to 12 teams. Next season will be 14 teams, which is fucking weird. I'm excited to talk about this because this is new to every conference. So, and we're probably not going to see a whole lot of good group of 5 teams anymore, since most of the good group of 5 teams have now shifted into either the Big 12 or the ACC, where SMU is now, and UCF, Houston, Cincinnati, BYU. Okay, so now we're going to first talk about the ACC. Okay, some things to know about the ACC.
Real quick, TJ, you got a message from Simhead Academy. He said your hair is looking solid, bro.
Thank you. Shout out to K-Dub, who couldn't be here with us, but still watching the show. Hopefully we can get you on next week, brother. But we're going to be talking about the ACC real quick. Love the hairstyle. I'm trying to grow it out. I don't know if I'm going to look like Brad Pitt or Beetlejuice. I'm not entirely too sure yet. But definitely Halloween costume is Beetlejuice. I don't know if I could recreate Michael Keaton, but I'm going to try. But besides that point, we're going to talk about the ACC, the new arrivals into this conference. We got California, Stanford, and SMU. This is probably the most desperate move to get new contenders or new members into a conference. Me and JMO were talking about this last night as we were game planning our next show, and we kind of pushed off on this show to today because, for one, we're busy guys. JMO is on at UNR right now doing his thing, and I work for a living. So tonight was the perfect night. I'm off. He's good to go. He prepped everything nicely, looks crisp. And we talked about the ACC, how it could possibly die or add on members. And one thing that really bothers me about the ACC is you don't go after any Big 12 teams, but you go after Cal and Stanford, 2 academically gifted schools, especially Stanford. They are basically the West Coast Ivy League of college sports, you know. But fucking Cal and Stanford, you could do much better than that, ACC. Go out and get Memphis. Go out and get East Carolina. Get homegrown geographically programs. You don't have to go get a Power 5 school to make yourself predominantly good. Look at the Big 12 right now. They have an influx of everybody. Power 5 and Group of 5. And one of those Group of 5s, UCF, is starting to build up. And you let that slip, ACC. That is the one slip up that you could have gotten. UCF and USF. You could have had the war on I-4. But you didn't. Your heads got way too big, and you thought that the Big 12 was going to die out. That is your fault. You could have had the war on I-4. But enough with that. Then you go out and get SMU. Oh, boy. What do I have to say? I mean, SMU is going to be a good team this year, but they're going to be middle of the pack. Okay? So, my question is, why didn't you get fucking Memphis? Why aren't you looking at Liberty? Why aren't you looking at East Carolina? All these schools that are Atlantic Coast Conference teams, essentially. Because they don't have the academic requirements. I'm pretty sure that's going to be your answer, right? Fucking scumbags. But anyway, so here's going to be my dark horse for the ACC this season. I think this team is relatively young. They're building on. I think this team right now is primed to be a really successful team in the ACC, but they're not quite there yet. Shane Beamer and the Virginia Tech Hokies. Listen, I like what Virginia Tech has. They just got an awesome transfer out of Old Dominion, Kyron Drones. Their defense is stellar. I like their receiving core. Their linemen are relatively decent. I like what I see out of Virginia Tech, and there's a lot of preseason hype. At first, I didn't get it. At first, I was like, why are we talking about Tech? And then I did some digging and diving. I like what I see out of Virginia Tech. I really do. And also, shout out to Virginia Tech for bringing back the Michael Vick jerseys, where they had the white main number on the front and back, and then on the sides the orange numbers. Good job, Virginia Tech, for revamping your uniform to what it should be. Not that fucking stupid ass brick shit and fucking stripes. Like, come on, guys. And that goes for any college team that tries to revamp their uniforms, which we have seen this year. It's been an influx of uniform revamps. Now, my most overhyped team this season. I think this team's going to be good, but I don't think they're going to be as good as people think they're going to be. I don't think they're a college football playoff contender. I think this team will have some slip-ups. They have a mediocre quarterback. Mike Norvell and the Florida State Seminoles. I think they lost a lot on their defense. Jared Verse. They lost a lot on the offensive side as well. And also, remember what happened in that bowl game against Georgia? I think it was the Citrus Bowl, if I'm not mistaken, where Georgia dog walked the shit out of them, 63-3. You know why? Because their players quit the team and they entered the transfer portal or entered the draft. You lose Keon Coleman, Jordan Travis. You lose everybody that was a part of that special team last season. Okay? I like the Noles. I really do. I like the fans over there. Not the casual fans are attacking Kirk Herbstreit. I'm just saying that Florida State this year is not going to be as successful as the 2023 Florida State Seminoles that unfortunately didn't make it because of one player's injury. which I don't condone, but I knew it was the right choice. Okay, not all the right choices are the best decisions. You know what I mean? So I think Florida State takes a step backwards. I think they're going to be one of the top 4 teams in the ACC. You got Clemson, North Carolina, Virginia Tech, Miami. Miami is coming in big this year, so especially with a badass quarterback in Cam Ward. So I think that Florida State takes a step back against some of these teams, you know. Do I think they're still an ACC championship contender? Absolutely. The ACC is only good with a couple of teams because the rest of the conference is nothing but middle of the road teams, dog. We got to understand that as college football fans. Duke ain't gonna win an ACC championship in football. Fucking North Carolina State, they look good on paper every year, but then fucking fall tragically. Wake Forest, they typically have a good quarterback every once in a while and then falls short again. I mean, it's just a band of middle of the road teams. Like they don't beat each other up like the Big 12 will. It's just sorry ass teams in the ACC. And if there's any ACC fans out there, I'm sorry. It's the truth. Now I'm going to move on to the conference championship game. Who do I think is going to be in the conference championship? Since now there's no divisions in any conference, let's keep it real. I got Clemson and Miami. It's going to be Cade Klubnik and the Clemson Tigers sitting at 11-1, taking on Miami. Cam Ward and the Miami Hurricanes. I think they'll drop a couple of games this season. So 10-2. Okay? I think this game is going to be decided on who has the ball last. I think this is going to be an explosive game offensively because I think the Clemson defense that we know and come to love has kind of died down a little bit. They don't have the linebackers in the past. They don't have the defensive linemen in the past that we know and love. On the other side, Miami's defense is mediocre. But I really see an offensive explosion. And what the ACC doesn't realize, they're going to have a Big 12-style game in this conference championship. But who's going to be my conference champion, J-Mo? You want to make that announcement for me?
Nah, that's all you, dog. That's all you.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I thought I'd give you some P's and Q's, but
nah, you're good. Nah, you're good, man. You're good.
I'm just
Nah.
We're gonna go with the Clemson Tigers. Okay,
Yes, sir.
got Clemson high this year. I think Cade Klubnik finally gets it done with the Clemson Tigers. I think he's grown as a leader. I think Dabo Swinney has built a culture that actually cares about Clemson. Why do you think he has the lowest rates in transfers, in and out? He recruits high school kids. He said it best. They're typically transfers out of high school. So that's what I love about what Dabo Swinney's about once it comes to the transfer portal era. I don't think Miami's ready for an ACC championship just yet. I do, however, think that they are going to be serious contenders this season. They look strong this season. Their training camp news is really stellar. I like Cam Ward, too. Out of Incarnate Word, went to Washington State for a year. Guy can sling the fucking rock, man. I'm telling you. You're probably going to see Miami and Clemson in the conference championship. And I do have Clemson winning that one. But we're going to move on to the Big Ten Conference, the overrated Big Ten Conference. Now, there's a defending national champion in Michigan who got hit with violations and this and that. Then you got Penn State over there. Can't win the big games against Michigan and Ohio State, but they'll beat the shit out of Auburn and Michigan State and Western Michigan, which who gives a fuck about the MAC? Let's keep it real. I hope JB finds his clip so that way he could show Big Smitty that, because Big Smitty's a Ball State graduate. Shout out to Big Smitty, by the way. I just want to give him shit about that. But no, like on a serious note, the Big Ten only comprised of Ohio State and Michigan, and then everybody else is middle of the road. There's no other tiers besides Ohio State, Michigan, and then you have Penn State, and then you have Iowa. Then everybody else underneath, basically. Minnesota's overrated. You got fucking shitty teams in the Big Ten. But then you got 4 more teams coming into the mix. West Coast teams. You got the LA market coming out with USC and UCLA. That opens up recruiting for Big Ten, especially for teams like Penn State. Then you have the Oregon Ducks, who I think are the scariest team this year. Scariest team to actually watch out for this season as far as entire college football landscape. Then you got Washington, who I think is going to be a little bit better than what people think. People think they're going to fall on the face of the fucking earth, but I think they got a really good coach. I think the way he left Arizona was kind of shitty, but that's business. That's the business aspect. This is a business-oriented – it's an oriented fucking business in college football nowadays. Going on. Why not? You know? So, Jetfish over there at Washington. I like Dan Lanning's Oregon Ducks. And a team, now we're moving on to the dark horse. Now, we're going to start off with a Big Ten original, okay? I got 2 dark horses here. I got Michigan as a dark horse. I think Sharon Moore
Hey, TJ, wait a minute. We're getting technical difficulties. Everybody hold up. Just 1 second.
What happened? Are we good? Okay.
Yeah, we're still streaming, guys. Sorry about that. You're still on, by the way. Sorry, we had some technical difficulties, but we're all good. I think TJ, is it storming near you?
Huh?
Is it storming a little bit near you? That would make sense.
No, it's hot as shit out here.
Maybe the heat's cooking the internet, man. Maybe the heat's cooking the internet.
We're set to fucking.
Oh,
Yesterday,
man.
I was fucking burnt. But anyway, what was I saying? Back to USC.
You were talking about Michigan and USC. Yes, sir.
So, yeah, those are my dark horses right now. I think USC and Michigan are 2 good teams right now. And listen, USC has a really good quarterback in Miller Moss, who I think is going to be special this year. I saw him break a record against supposedly the best defense in the ACC. Fucking murked him. And he did it better than Caleb Williams. So, and the team built around fucking Miller Moss that fucking bowl game. And I know we can't judge off of one fucking game. I get it, folks. But my thing here is the fact that we, as college football fans, we got to understand, Lincoln Riley is a program builder too. As much as I really don't like his philosophies on defense, he finally got rid of the problem. He got rid of his long-time defensive coordinator, got a new one. It's about fucking time you finally listen to people, Lincoln. And stop cooking fucking brisket. It's fucking dry as fucking tree bark. But on a serious note, I think what USC has is special this season. People are not talking about them. They are the most questionable team right now in college football. Nobody is really digging into this USC program. Nobody. Like, nobody's saying they're going to be great. Nobody's saying they're going to be awful. They don't know. They really don't know. The so-called analysts, experts, don't fucking know what's going to happen in Southern California. But guess who does? I do, because I think USC is going to be a fucking dark horse. And they're going to cause some havoc in the Big Ten. If you don't think so, what Big Ten program throws the ball as much as USC or Oregon or Washington or UCLA? I'll wait. Ohio State? No. USC throws the ball more. And those defenses cannot stop the fucking pass. Except for last year's Michigan. But that's besides the point. The point is, you're underestimating a team that is a fucking blue blood. USC is a blue blood. UCLA, they are a fucking blue blood. Going into your fucking conference. And honestly, I should have put UCLA as a dark horse too. Because UCLA has a guy named Deshaun Foster at head coach. Yeah, his media days wasn't great. It was awkward. But the motherfucker could get the job done. I can guarantee you that. Those players are going to play around him. And I expect great things out of Deshaun Foster and UCLA. Now to my overhyped.
TJ, really quick, if I may, I will chime in on that because when you picked when you picked Michigan and USC, right, for your dark horse, I thought to myself, I was like, these are good picks, but really, there's one more dark horse that you didn't talk about, and I think that's Washington. I think
another one. That's another great one. People expect, and I said earlier, people expect Washington to fall off on the face of the earth after that horrible national championship game. I thought honestly it was horribly coached by Washington. Yeah, as far as the defensive side, and I just think that Michigan outmatched them in every asset. But I didn't put Washington up there because I don't think they're going to be better than USC or Michigan. Yeah, I think they'll be. I think they'll be in the middle of the pack this season. Probably a 7-5, 8-4, but they still got a lot of great talent over there, and they got a good ball coach over there that turned the Arizona program around with Noah.
And they've got. I mean, if you think about it, the battle's won on the line now. You know what I mean? And they now have junior and senior linemen at the front now, and so they have that protection they can offer their quarterbacks and their running backs. So
and that's one thing. That's one thing I loved about Washington against Texas. Speaking from an unbiased point, I really liked their blocking against our 3-man rush and also our 4-man rush. Like they physically enforced their will against Texas last season. It pains me to say it, but it's true that we at Texas did not do a good job against that offensive line because they were well coached in that game to block guys like Byron Murphy and Tavondre Sweat. You know, so I loved that offensive line.
Yeah.
And they were opening holes for their backs, and they gave what Michael Penix did to our secondary was give him enough time to throw the ball.
Yeah. Yeah.
I felt like what we should have done was what we did in week 2 against Alabama in Tuscaloosa. We should have blitzed a lot more with Anthony Hill. I thought we didn't do enough blitzing as far as that. I thought we were too conservative because their wide receivers were too dangerous. Right. But back to my point about Washington, you know, I still think they're gonna be good, but they're gonna be like one of those tough teams that loses close games. You know what I mean?
I agree with that. I'll agree with you.
Kind of like Colorado last season, how they shot themselves in the foot in many games. But that's another topic that we'll talk about later.
Yes, sir.
But my overhyped team, and JMO agrees with me 100% about this one. Penn State.
Yes, sir.
Fucking Penn State. This is a fucking rant for the Nittany Lions. When was the last time Penn State was actually really great? When was the last time Penn State was considered a national powerhouse? Somewhere around the 90s, if I'm not mistaken. Somewhere around the early 2000s. Ever since the Joe Paterno scandals, they've been nothing short of mediocre. Even the conference championship teams that they had, nothing short of mediocre. Because I'm sick and tired of this team getting hyped every year and by guys like myself and ESPN and CBS and fucking Outkick and all these other fucking programs. We overhyped this one fucking program. Penn State. Why do we overhype Penn State? They are literally the Texas fucking A&M of the fucking Big Ten. I'm serious. They are literally the fucking Buffalo Bills of the Big Ten. Can't win the big games. Ohio State, Michigan, soon to be USC, soon to be Oregon, soon to be Washington, soon to be fucking whoever joins the fucking conference next. Because we're getting into that super conference now. I'm just sick and tired of seeing such a legendary coached team like Penn State. And I'm not talking about their scandals. I don't give a fuck about all that because I care about the history of the program, not about the scandals. The history on what goes on the fucking field. You can't win the big games, but you could beat Auburn by fucking 40. Make it make sense. I am so sick and tired of seeing such hype on a 5-star quarterback like Drew Aller, who I was really keen on seeing, was not impressed. I haven't been impressed with him since his first start. Sure, he's made some really good throws. Sure, he's made some great plays. But what the fuck has he done? Tell me that. What has he done? Not a damn thing. Most of his throws are off. Most of the time he has lack of confidence throwing into the fucking coverage. And I'm pretty sure if I had Coach JB on the show, by the way, shout out Coach JB, he would tell me exactly what is wrong with Penn State. And the first thing he would bring up, fucking Drew Allen. I like James Franklin. I like him as a coach. Rebuilt fucking Vanderbilt into a fucking serious threat in the SEC. I don't know if you fucking remember that. He revitalized that program in Penn State, but what has he done? He has not been to the playoff. He has not been to the national championship, even in the BCS. We need to stop hyping this team up as a national championship contender and start focusing on the real. They can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Penn or Ohio State. I love Penn State. I wish that Penn State would be a great team, a great program. What they lack is offensive fluidity. Their defense is great until their offense sucks. You never know what's going to happen with Penn State's offense. Oh, they're going to have a great game. Oh, they have a terrible game. Oh, they're going to have a wonderful fucking game. They fucking have 3 interceptions because Drew Allen's fucking poor decision making. They don't focus enough on the run like they normally used to do with Joe Paterno. And bringing back the T formation is great. How about this? This is Coach Riddell talking now. Everybody ready? Penn State, run the fucking wing T! Run the wing T! Get a fucking beefy fullback! Stop fucking throwing the ball as much! Drew Allen does not need to throw 30 balls a game. He doesn't even need to throw 25. What he needs to throw is about 15 to 17 passes a game. And just run the fucking wing T. You have great backs for a reason. You're known for great backs. So run the damn ball. Woo! So that's my overhyped team. Now, who's going to be in my Big Ten Conference Championship game? It's going to be a mixture of old school versus new school. Give me the Ducks out of Oregon and Ohio State Buckeyes. I think this is going to be a top 5 matchup right here at the end of the season. Both teams are going to be undefeated, I think. I think Ohio State has Michigan's number this year. Just putting that out there. I said it 2 out of the last 3 years, and Michigan beat them. So what?
TJ, if I may, I think we're all forgetting the guy that took him to the championship is just gone.
Exactly.
He's gone. Like, a lot of people don't understand that, like...
And not just that, Michigan has lost a lot on the offense, too.
They have.
Like Roman Willison, JJ McCarthy, which prayers to JJ McCarthy. He's out for this season with a torn meniscus, unfortunately. So that's going to be a huge blow for the Vikings. But anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, so Ryan Day has a good opportunity. He cannot fuck this up, right, with Michigan. I think if he loses to Michigan one more time, he's out the fucking door. Because why is Chip Kelly there? Think about that. They hired Chip Kelly as an offensive coordinator. He left UCLA as a head coach to be an offensive coordinator. Because, let's be real, head coaches nowadays don't want to be head coaches anymore in college football. They don't want to deal with the NIL and transfer portal bullshit. So now they want to be offense coordinators. But think about this: Chip Kelly is only taking a break for about a year off of a head coaching job. If Ryan Day gets fired, guess who's going to be hired next on? Chip Kelly, which is pretty ironic because Chip Kelly also made Oregon a great football. So now we got Oregon versus Ohio State in this remarkable matchup between undefeateds. I could see a number 2 versus number 3 situation, depending on who's number 1. I think we'll see later on tonight on who I got in the SEC championship. But spoiler alert. But anyway, I think this is going to be a good clash. It's going to bring back memories of that good 2021 matchup that they had. But I think Oregon wins this matchup against Ohio State. I think it's going to be really, really close. I think Oregon pulls away because they have Dylan Gabriel and Evan Stewart. Now that's a fucking tandem right there. As much as I don't think Dylan Gabriel's a great quarterback, I think that Evan Stewart's going to help out along with the receiving core that Oregon has. I think that Ohio State is lacking at the quarterback position, especially having Will Howard as the starter now. We're probably going to see Ohio State running the ball with Quinshon Judkins and Hendrickson for Ohio State. Probably a 200-yard rushing game for both running backs, but I think Oregon pulls away with it. I really do think so. And we're probably going to see them deep in the playoffs this season. All right, so now we're going to move on over to the Big 12, where I think this is the most unorthodox, unpredictable conference out of all Power Fours. This conference right here is a fucking gauntlet. Comprises of teams like Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, TCU, Kansas State, Iowa State. Kansas this year is going to be good. You're going to have a lot of teams that are really, really going to be good this season. And then you're bringing in an influx of new teams. Utah, that's a big one. Arizona, that's a big one. Arizona State, whether people see it or not, that'll be a good one. And then you're bringing back a former Big 12 champion, the Colorado Buffaloes, which is really intriguing because they had a really good team last year. They just shot themselves in the foot last season.
Oh boy, do we have some stuff to say about them.
Yeah. And they're probably the most arrogant 4-8 team that I've ever seen in my entire life. But no, I'm not hating on Colorado because I'm not like these fucking casuals that go on Twitter and say, "This is America, fucking Colorado, fuck prime time, fuck Coach Prime, fuck Shador." I'm not like that. I criticize on a professional fan. I take this shit seriously when I say I'm a professional fan. Believe that, folks, that I am a professional fan first and a casual second, which I'm never a casual, so let's just keep it real. I'm just a professional fan, okay? And I'm a big fan of the Big 12 because of the fact that I grew up in the Big 12 years. I was born the year the Big 12 was made. Now that you got your two most revenue shared teams out of the door, Oklahoma and Texas. Probably the two most dominant teams as far as all sports. Now, fans out there are going to say, Texas wasn't dominant in the Big 12. Shut the fuck up. You don't know shit. Early 2000s. Late 2000s. Texas and OU were in the race for the Big 12. If you don't believe me, read back at it, you fucking casuals. But I like this conference. I grew up with it. I love this conference. It's a blue collar conference. Okay. This is where grime and hard work comes from. And Matt McChesney could agree with me on this because he was a part of that Big 12 champion Colorado Buffalo team that beat Texas, that Texas would have went to the national championship. And he was part of those teams that beat Nebraska. Like, the Big 12 has a lot more history than people think. And people seem to forget that the Big 12 is a tough conference. Okay? Now, I think the Big 12 is going to be fun to watch this season. But I have two dark horses in particular that I really like this season. I'm going to go to Morgantown and Orlando, the West Virginia Mountaineers and the UCF Knights. I think these two teams right here in the Big 12 are going to be super fun to watch. Over there in West Virginia, I like what Green at quarterback shows. He's an underrated QB over there. I like their defense. I love their run game. More importantly, I love West Virginia's run game. And I really do think that they are a really big threat in the Big 12 championship race. Now we move down to Orlando in UCF. They just got a big-time player over there, KJ Jefferson, transfer out of Arkansas. Gus Malzahn is going to have fun with this cat. And they have an excellent wide receiving core. I love Harvey at running back. I think their defense is going to be like a Achilles heel a little bit, but they're not going to be bad. I think UCF is going to be one of those teams that you got to be like, oh shit, we got UCF on the schedule. We got to prepare, or we're going to get fucked over. Okay, so those are my two dark horses. I think those two teams are going to be really close to being Big 12 contenders. Now, as my overhyped Big 12 team, this is where JMO said we have a lot to talk about with these guys, and that's CU, Colorado. The media is back at it again with Colorado's going to be a college football playoff contender for sure now that they're in the Big 12. This is where I say people forget where or why the Big 12 is so tough to play in. How much history that the Big 12 has. People are forgetting that Colorado just got off of a 4-8 season with the number one player in all of college football in Travis Hunter. And that's okay. That's Deion Sanders' first season. I expected them to have some bumps on the road. I predicted a 6-6 season. So, and my floor was 4-8, if I'm not mistaken, JMO. You were there. So they hit my floor.
It was 4-8. It was 4-8.
They hit my floor, guys. So,
yeah.
CU is in a pressure situation now. Now that they're in a weaker Big 12 or whatever the hell these so-called experts say, which I take great offense to this when people say that the Big 12 is weaker because of Texas and Oklahoma's out of the game. Bullshit. I call bullshit on it. You still got Kansas State and Oklahoma State to worry about. You still got a Iowa State team led by Matt Campbell. You got Joey McGuire's Texas Tech, Sonny Dykes' TCU, who I think would have been better last season if they didn't lose the games that they shouldn't have lost. And I'll be straight up honest, that Texas game, they shouldn't have lost that one. They let that one go. I'm going to keep it real with you. I'm a Texas fan, by the way, but I keep it real on this show. They got an uprising Kansas team that everybody's hyping up this year that could have made it on my overhyped list, but they're not. That's just life. I make my own decisions. So why are people saying that Colorado is going to have a clean sweep, basically, when they got their rivals, Utah and Oklahoma State, on the schedule? And I don't think that Colorado is going to be a Big 12 championship contender just yet, because they got individuals right now. And I'm not knocking Colorado by any chance. I'm not trying to diminish what could lead up to a successful season. I think they're going to be much better than last season. They have an awesome freshman in Jordan Seaton, who I think is going to be a Big 12 Player of the Year, or not Big 12 Player of the Year, but on the All Big 12 selection team, whether it be second team or first team. I think that Colorado right now is getting all this media attraction, and it's because of Deion Sanders. Let's keep it real. But I don't think they'll be as good as what people are saying they'll be. They're saying that they're going to be a college football playoff contender. They're going to say they're going to win the Big 12. Some idiots are saying that they're going to win the goddamn national championship. Let's be honest here. Have you ever seen a 4-8 team in your lifetime rise up and go 12-0 in the Big 12 Conference, win the conference championship, go through a gauntlet of teams in the college football playoff in 12 teams, and win it? I haven't. I haven't seen a team like that in college. To where they get to that point, like an Alabama with Nick Saban, like a Georgia with Kirby Smart, like a Clemson with Dabo Swinney. So why is everybody assuming that they're going to go ahead and win the whole damn thing? I don't think they will. I don't even think they'll make it to the college football playoff. I don't even think they'll make it to the Big 12 championship. What I do think is they'll have a better season. I think they'll go 7-5 or 8-4 this season. And my way too early prediction was that they were going to go 6-6.
Stand by, y'all. Give me a second. TJ's talking, but he doesn't know that he's muted. Give me a second.
We're back on.
Yeah, there you go. You're good. I don't know why your Zoom dips out sporadically. It's weird.
See, but this is what...
It's the Colorado fans, man.
It's the prime sexuals. Fuck, they're at me again.
Nah, it's all good.
Nah. But I see them going 7-5 this season. I don't think they're as good as people think they are. Let's keep it real. And to the haters of Colorado, I got something to say to you guys. Paul Feinbaum, Athlon Sports. You are fucking morons. Moron. Paul Feinbaum, stick to what you fucking know, and that's nothing. You don't know nothing about the game. All you do is fucking hate on fucking Nick Saban and anybody else that you don't fucking like or that doesn't like you. And I'm glad Lane Kiffin called your ass out live on TV. You don't know shit about fucking Colorado. You just hate fucking Dion because he has swag. You're a fucking old white. Shut the fuck up. Athlon Sports, same fucking thing. Reported that fucking Bucky, fucking Dion's son, was recording the players talking about being strapped or whatever, talking about guns and shit because he's a fucking libtard. Do you know what fucking being strapped means in football? It's called getting fucking locked down, being pressed. Shut the fuck up. Sick of this shit with fucking people like Athlon Sports and Paul Feinbaum talking shit to just talk shit without stating fucking facts. Where you got guys like JB and myself and Matt McChesney and Marcellus Wiley telling the fucking truth. I'm a fucking nobody that never touched grass on the college football field, but I know my shit because I study this shit. Why do you think I talk to JB sometimes through DMs? Like, god damn. And JB gets Brian fucking Urlacher on his show. Like, shut the fuck up, you fucking libtards. I'm sick and tired of y'all criticizing these inner city kids that go to fucking prime, that are learning to be young men, and because of one bad apple named Cormani McClain going off saying that Deion Sanders is Deion Sanders pulls favoritism and this, that, and then Athlon Sports reporting that, they're talking about guns and being strapped, and then Deion Sanders was bass fishing with Travis Hunter, and they had a gun on the boat. Oh my God! They got a fucking gun on the boat! Oh my God! What would we ever do? It's called the Second Amendment, you dumb motherfuckers. Shut the fuck up. Like, god damn. See, I can critique Colorado and I can defend Colorado. There's a difference between you fucking casuals and me. J-Mo, what do you have to say about that one?
I don't know. It's a little bit like, for me, and sorry, I don't have my camera up just because I'm living like a rat right now. But like,
Don't we all?
I gotta say, man, like, I don't know much about the Colorado or the Athlon Sports situation going on, but it's a little bit like, okay, I'll put it this way. There's a streamer that I know in the Destiny 2 community. His name is Terror. He's a really good streamer. If you've seen him, you know who I'm talking about. He's really dope. And with the whole situation going on in Bungie, if you don't know, Pete Parsons fired 200 more employees, and basically, like, off the success of the Final Shape. The Final Shape was a really successful campaign. And so everybody's like, oh, we hate Bungie now, we hate Bungie, you know, and Terror actually had a really good opinion, and I actually listened to him. He changed my opinion on Bungie. He was like, well, you know, that's how they get attention. You know, that's how they get attention. That's all they're trying to do is get attention. So typically when you see someone with that negative, like, style of, you know, like, negative style of news, negative style of, you know, podcasts, negative style of whatever, usually the guy you're watching, they're just trying to get their views, man. So if you really want to strike out against them, it's best not to engage with them. Like it's like even if it's like any streamer, right? Like if you, I always tell people this. It's like if you engage with me, if you decide to go on my channel and dislike everything of mine, that's still engagement.
Yeah,
it's
that's still engagement.
You know what I mean?
Like,
that's all they're really fishing for.
No,
is just
no,
your
no.
engagement. You know?
I totally get that part, JMO.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's a good point, though. But
Yeah. But I mean, does
the
that
best
mean
thing to do with these fucking idiots is to not fucking order any of their fucking magazines. Don't ever watch the Paul Feinbaum show because he is a fucking idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
right?
He's
Right.
never played the game of football, so he shouldn't be fucking talking. He only talks because he's a fucking hater and wishes that he could be like, I don't know, me. But anyway.
Yep.
And I'm talking about from an athletic standpoint. I'm not talking about me in general.
Well, and that's like if you,
dumb fucks
me and TJ
that-
were talking
that are
about
on there.
this. Me and TJ were talking about this. That's like if somebody, you know, it's like if somebody popped into my stream and claimed to be like, you know, like a Destiny 2 veteran or like a veteran at a certain game, and they never played the game before.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, like, come on, man. Like, what the hell, you know? Because like, there's something about really being there and having an opinion, and then there's, you know, just having an opinion just to try to get attention, you know, on something you don't really know about. And it's like when you're that desperate for attention, like it's not that serious, bro. You just gotta you gotta find some other way to you know. In my opinion, you gotta find some other way to get views, get your stuff. You get your stuff, you know, like sorted. So that's just my thought on it. So
Yeah. Matt McChesney had some choice words about Athlon Sports and Paul Feinbaum. I just amplified it a little bit more because I look at it as an unbiased fan going, shut the fuck up, guys, you know? But anyway, we're going to also talk about the conference championship in the Big 12. I actually have two opponents that are going to be facing each other in the regular season that I think is going to be a rematch. This is our first rematch conference championship, if I'm not mistaken. No, actually, Miami has Clemson, so in the regular season too. So, so give me Oklahoma State and Utah. I think Oklahoma State gets back into the Big Ship. They are reloaded this season. They got Ollie Gordon back. They got old man fucking Alan Bowman, who's been in the fucking college football since 1999, apparently. They have a really good receiving core. I think they'll be a lot better. They have more depth this season. They do have a tough game against South Dakota State this season, but I do think they're going to have a really good game or a really good season this season. They're going to be sitting at 10-2. I think Utah is going to be a tough team this season in the Big 12. I think that 11-1 heading into the Big 12 championship. But I got Oklahoma State beating Utah in the second time around. I think Utah wins the first one, but I think that Oklahoma State takes the second game because you can never beat an opponent twice, no matter how good you are. You can never beat the same opponent twice. That's just what I've always gone by. I rarely see teams that just smack the shit out of opponents twice, unless it was the Utah and USC days where they were in the conference championship. Or they met up twice in that one season where Caleb Williams won the Heisman. But back to the Big 12 championship. I think this could be a good old-fashioned matchup where it's run heavy. I think that Utah with Cam Rising is going to be a really good program. This might be Kyle's last season. They already got his successor lined up. I believe he's the defensive coordinator for Utah, but yeah, Kyle Whittingham's like 64 years old. he looks fucking good for 64 years old. You know what I mean? That motherfucker is jacked. He is yoked up. So, I don't know, man. Yeah.
TJ, since we're looking at this photo of the Cowboys, because I have the photo of the QR codes on the back. Can you tell us something about that? Because
yeah,
I think you had it on your Instagram story, right?
Yeah. So with this fucking QR code shit, all right, I would understand if it was high school football where they have the QR codes to like fundraise the fucking football team. This is basically like NIL fundraising for players. Like if you send $10 to the QR code. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I did see it. I did read a little about it. I was sitting there going, I'm not a huge fan of it, but at the same time, what can you do? You know, it's to help Oklahoma State, not only the NIL collective for the players, but it's there to help out the program for the football team, as in like new uniforms or whatever, even though they just got new uniforms. So, I mean, I do like their new uniforms too, so whatever.
Their new uniforms are sick. I like them, but
which everybody's copying off of them too. If you really look at everybody else in the Big 12, they're copying off of them. Texas Tech is, Kansas did. No, actually, I think Kansas had those uniforms before Oklahoma State. If I'm not mistaken, Kansas State, they've always had their uniforms. Iowa State, they're changing into those uniforms, that traditional style. Baylor looks like the fucking Green Bay Packers, which I think they're going to be fucking horrible this year. I really do think they're going to be fucking garbage.
Yep.
I'm glad UCF didn't change their uniform.
I gotta say, I'm a little biased here, but I do like Kentucky's uniforms. The checkerboard, you can't go wrong, man. I like the classy checkerboard.
That's their uniforms.
Both
man.
in football and basketball. That's like, like even though they're the Wildcats, I don't know why, but I always think of like chess. I don't know why, but it's like every time I see those uniforms, it's like, oh, you're about to get checkmated in a big way. You know what I mean?
Like, you know, they changed their uniforms too to the fucking Wildcat sleeve.
Yeah,
they put the new logo on there.
I liked it. If I had a way,
I'm glad you like it.
Yeah,
that's your fucking team, man.
Oh yeah.
So now we're transitioning into the best conference, and this is weird for me to say.
Not biased.
My favorite conference, the Southeastern Conference, the best conference in all of college football. I was always anti-SEC. Like when SEC fans like JMO would say, oh, the SEC would dominate the Big 12. I'd say, fuck you, the fucking Big 12 is a lot tougher than that. But now that I'm in the SEC, I still have that. The Big 12 is tougher than what people say, but the SEC is the best conference in all of college football. Let's keep it real.
He's a little biased now, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, I'm a little biased. Why is that, TJ? Why are you so fucking biased? Because Texas and Oklahoma have officially joined the dark side, okay? And I'm really excited to see this because we get multiple rivalries back, not just the Lone Star Showdown, but you get Arkansas and Texas back. Southwest Conference rivalry right there. And a lot of history behind that one. Remember Freddie Steinmart? 1969. Game of the century. Number 1 versus number 2. Fayetteville, Arkansas. People still talk about that game to this day. Okay? Where Darrell K. Royal won his second national championship in 6 years, 1963 to 69. So, yeah. So this is going to be a clash of Southwest Conference and Big A and SEC now. Because the SEC, it's always been known as the Southeastern Conference. Now you're bringing in teams from 2012 to now 2024, teams that no one would ever think would join the big and bad SEC. Okay, so you got teams like A&M, Missouri, Texas, Oklahoma that joined. Arkansas back in 91 joined the SEC from the Southwest Conference. This is going to be fun to talk about this entire year. I am thoroughly excited to talk about the SEC. We're going to talk about our dark horses this year. J-Mo, you're going to join in on this conversation. I want to know your dark horses and your overhyped this season.
Oh, here we go. Well, we already talked about it yesterday, so I'm pretty sure this is going to be a good chance to get my thoughts out there. So
yeah, but I'm going to start off with mine. My dark horses. I'm going to go with Oklahoma and Alabama. They're downgrading, or they're talking down Oklahoma as if Oklahoma hadn't beat an SEC team before. They're reliving the 2019 LSU Tigers where Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson had that stellar game against Oklahoma. A really good Oklahoma, to be exact. I really do think that Oklahoma's going to come back strong this season, but I don't think they're going to be an SEC championship contender. But I do think that they're going to be a 9-3 at least. I think they'll be 9-3 at least. Alabama, new man in charge, no more Nick Saban. I thought that Alabama was heading down, was really like on a trajectory down low. Not saying that they were going to be horrible. I'm saying that they would be like first round knockout of the college football playoff. I still think that they're going to be a first round knockout in the playoff, but I genuinely think that they are going to be tough to beat this season. I think they will be a contender for the SEC championship. I think Alabama is going to be a tough team in general. J-Mo, your thoughts on who you think is going to be a dark horse this season? Who do you think is going to be a really big contributor to the SEC?
So I think, first of all, not on the Alabama token. Alabama has a huge void to fill with Nick Saban. Nick Saban left, and I said in my previous slide about Colorado. I'm actually the one who types the slides, ladies and gentlemen. But I said,
shout out to J-Mo, by the way.
Thanks.
Ungrateful bastards. But anyway.
Well, one person, I said one person cannot make a difference, but one person like Nick Saban can. He's an illustrious head coach, and he goes along the same lines of all the legends, and he does leave a void. So the question remains, can Alabama rally not only in against their previous contenders such as Georgia, such as LSU, and we'll talk about LSU here in a second. Can they rally around a new SEC that now includes two big powerhouses such as Texas and Oklahoma? And on Oklahoma, I really wanted to talk about this. Jackson Arnold is coming into play. And my biggest question for Oklahoma is, can he fill the shoes of the departed quarterback going to Oregon? Can he fill those shoes?
Ooh.
We saw his performance in the Alamo Bowl, but he had a lot of turnovers. But he is still a five-star prospect. You got to think there were nerves that came into play when Oklahoma played that Alamo Bowl, because it was pretty much his first time starting a college game, starting in that setting. He's a former five-star prospect. I think he may be able to turn it over I think he may be able to turn over his this perception of him that he cannot make plays. Because right now that is the perception, is that there's a void to be filled in the quarterback spot. I honestly think Jackson Arnold has what it takes. I think the turnovers were purely just because of his just because of the setting. You know, he was really thrust into that role. Couldn't really do anything about it. He had to rally and he had to do what he could, but he wasn't really ready. I think now the preseason and, you know, just various practices are preparing him for that role, and the more he plays, the more we're going to see him shine. I think Jackson Arnold is ready to go, and honestly, I'm predicting right now that we will see OU in the number 3 spot this year. I really think so.
Okay.
I think so. I think
I didn't have him that far.
I think, but it all lies on Jackson Arnold's shoulders. He's got the offensive weapons to prove that he belongs, but the question remains: does he belong?
Okay, JMO, throwing in some insight like that. Holy shit!
Never said I couldn't.
No.
I just don't. I just don't. Not always. So.
No. You said the right fucking things about Jackson Arnold. And like you said, inexperience came into factor. That was his first start against a very tough Arizona defense, which, by the way, Texas got some of their transfers.
Yep.
But nobody's talking about
that.
that.
Dylan Gabriel, by the way, was the quarterback that went to Oregon, and he's going to be a presence at Oregon. Let me tell you, he's going to be part of the reason that they're probably going to go far, because at Oklahoma, he was a really good quarterback. So Jackson Arnold does have some big shoes to fill here, but I think he can fill them. I really do.
Yeah,
I really think he can fill them.
I don't think he's that great of a quarterback though, but he uses his legs mostly. But when his receivers are open, he can get them. But
right.
But yeah, back to Jackson Arnold and OU. I mean, you hit the nail on the coffin on that one. Now that he's getting into that leadership role, now that he's getting into that experience role, we're going to see how Jackson Arnold grows as a starter.
I mean,
you know, and I'm really excited to see how well he plays, or if he performs well. Will he be the next Drew Allard? That's a very big question. 5-star prospect that couldn't perform, you know.
I mean, you have weapons like Jaleel Farouk, who was Oklahoma's number 2 receiver. He caught 45. He had 45 catches last year for 694 yards and a pair of touchdowns, which is not bad, considering you had Dylan Gabriel, who was really like running the ball like crazy. So Jackson Arnold, I think he's got the weapons. Also, the fact that Bill Barden, I think I'm so bad with names, but the offensive line coach, Bill Barden, Bedenbaugh, that's it. He's a really good offensive coach, and I think they have
top 5 offensive line coach in the country.
I think, and plus, Oklahoma has one of the best college football defenses in the nation. Like, it's been on the rise.
Led by Danny Stutzman and Billy Bowman.
Yeah, and steadily rising. I think they will be the best. I think they will be up there with Georgia as far as like college football. They have to be, because now they're competing with Georgia and Alabama for defense.
And Texas.
Yeah, we cannot forget about Texas.
Yeah, and one more thing before we get to my overhyped and your overhyped.
Yep.
I genuinely think that Oklahoma is going to thrive in the SEC along with Texas, and you're going to see teams like, I don't know, Mississippi State, well, we already saw Vanderbilt fall off, but Florida, you're going to see teams like South Carolina fall off. You're going to see teams like, I hate to say it, but Ole Miss, after Jackson Dart leaves, you're probably going to see them deteriorate, you know? You're going to see a lot of teams like Tennessee. They're not going to be as good, even though I think Nico Imaleva is going to be great. After he leaves, what's Tennessee going to do? You know? And is Tennessee an SEC contender? I don't think so. But you're going to see a lot of SEC programs struggle against these 4 powerhouses right now. And people are going to say, well, Texas isn't a powerhouse. Oklahoma isn't an SEC powerhouse. Well, they're about to be. Have you not seen last year? Those 2 teams are 10-win teams.
Yeah.
I believe one of them beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa by 10. Somebody hasn't done that in a long time. Yep. Then OU beat Texas, a team that beat an SEC opponent at home by 10. Doesn't that raise eyebrows for the SEC fans? Like, that's the SEC casual fans talking, J-Mo.
Yeah.
Like, you and I both know that this is going to be a serious issue for the conference. Like, Texas and OU coming in and causing havoc.
Yep.
Whether it be one or both of them, it's going to be a fucking problem for the SEC, especially for teams like South Carolina, Kentucky, or LSU.
Yeah.
Transitioning into this overhyped team.
Speaking of, I was about to say
LSU Tigers.
Yep.
Jane Daniels is gone. You've seen a lot of great players gone. Malik Neighbors is out of there. I don't see Nussmeier doing a damn thing as their quarterback. You're probably going to see them be middle of the road this season. And goes back to my thing with the Oklahoma on the rise in the SEC, or being able to thrive in the SEC. I think LSU falls from being one of the top teams in there. Auburn falls into that category too. Like, you're going to see teams fall out of the top 4.
Yep.
I mean, you're going to see a whole different new top 4 in there. And I'm sorry, LSU fans. Sorry, my bro, Rakeem. I love you. I hope all is well. Valorant. He's a Valorant star. He does streams. Valorant streamer. He's on a team, I believe.
He's a Valorant streamer.
Yeah. J-Mo and I have some words about that. But, because he's a Destiny 2 guy. But shout out to my boy Rakeem. But I think LSU is going to have a bad year. I think Brian Kelly is a fucking joke of a coach. That's just me. He just has had so much talent around him as a coach, and what has he done? No conference championships behind him.
Yeah.
Now, to give him some credit, he's been at Notre Dame forever.
Yep.
Went to the college football playoff with them. But what has he done? Nothing. So I think LSU falls off this season. Not bad, but they're going to be bowl eligibility. Middle of the road type. So, well, J-Mo, do you have a different overhyped team, or?
So I don't. I was gonna say we should. I think we'll finish out this conference, and I think I've got an interesting move that I want to talk about, because I think this move, me and TJ talked about this move between 2 conferences that I think would fix this whole problem, because as I said in this slide, and this pertains to this slide, although I'll refer back to my previous argument, you've got some other big boys in your conference now, and due to escalation, because that's what's happening right now, is escalation in the SEC, LSU is moving down the charts. They're not the only team moving down the charts. You've got teams that are pretty much forgotten about. Hell, I didn't even remember South Carolina yesterday, but South Carolina was one of the pinnacle teams in the SEC, right?
Since 91.
Yeah. Kentucky has never been that great, but I'm going to get to that because they have an opportunity here, but I think it's going to be overshadowed. So I really think it's going to be overshadowed. They have a big opportunity here. I'm reading right now about a couple of moves that I think gives them a shining opportunity. But honestly, they don't have a fair chance in the SEC. I really don't think so. So later on, I think we're going to talk about a move that me and TJ were talking about yesterday between two conferences that I think will fix this whole problem. Because the SEC right now is becoming too much of a powerhouse for teams like Kentucky, Tennessee, and Vanderbilt to come in. And I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, that's Cope. Get better. Your team needs to get better. But it's like, with a coach like Mark Stoops and then the quarterback that we'll talk about later that just came in from Georgia. He's a
Brock
Georgia transfer.
Vandergrift.
Yep, thank you. Thank you very much. Brock Vandergrift. He's a very good quarterback, but he's not going to have an opportunity to shine because they are in the SEC. So we're going to talk later. I really want to talk later about this move. I don't want to expose anything right now, but
that'll be an end of show topic right there.
Yeah.
That'll be the segment TJ's Talk Box right there. So
I really want to talk about it at the end of this show, but we'll talk about it, and I think you guys are going to be very interested in this move. What I have proposition. So
it involves with possibly all conferences. So stay tuned for that one.
Yeah.
So you got LSU too?
I do for now. I really don't think that they are going to live up to the hype this year. I don't think that's necessarily a whole, like, of course it's their fault. They need to get better players and they need to get a better coach, in my opinion. But I think overall, I really just think that it's because of escalation in the SEC. You've got powerhouses like Alabama. You've got Georgia. You've got Texas and Oklahoma. Who do you think is going to be up there to compete with? Like, I mean, sure they're going to win the easy games like Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, South Carolina, but they're not. When it comes to the top four, you're not touching those top four. That's not going to happen. And because especially of that, LSU has moved down the charts. So
especially with the way the recruiting has been lately for both Oklahoma and Texas, it's been unbelievable.
Not even to mention Texas A&M. Like, we don't mention them in this household, but I mean, like, them. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, A&M is a special child.
Yeah.
And let me tell you about Texas A&M. I've never been more confused about a program in my entire life.
Yeah.
Or a fan base than Texas A&M.
Right.
And recently I haven't, or not recently, but for a while now I haven't had issues with A&M fans until the official SEC move. Like, I was on the Ryan High podcast. Shout out to them guys. Ryan High Sports, Cantu, A&M graduate. Love the guy, whatnot. We had a topic about Texas versus A&M. I think things were misconstrued about a lot of things. But I'm talking about A&M fans in general. A&M fans, okay, how can I say this without being rude? They go back, when you give them facts, they go back and say, how could you like a team when you don't go to, when you've never been to that school? Okay, that's fine. Call me a T-shirt fan. All right, that's fine. Let me ask you this. What is that on you? What's that cloth on you right now that says A&M?
Right.
Is that a fucking T-shirt?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, so you're a T-shirt fan too, so shut the fuck up. All right. I genuinely don't understand why every year A&M is the literal definition of a delusional fan. They expect to be national champions every year. Remind you of a fan base, JMO? I want you to answer that. What fan base in the NFL thinks that way? They're going to go to the Super Bowl every year. They have
yeah. I think you wore their jersey not too long ago, didn't you?
Not that fan base. Not that fan base.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm a part of this fan base, but the hints are everywhere.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I think you and a buddy of mine have the same fan base. Yeah, Dallas Cowboys. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
So A&M, they haven't won a national championship since 1939.
Yep.
Pre-World War II, 1939. And I say that because 1939 was the start of World War II.
Yep.
They haven't won a conference championship since 1998. Guess what conference that was? The Big 12.
Yep.
Net win. Okay? Ever since then, they have struggled. Ever since then, they have struggled to even get full eligibility. They have one magical year with a Heisman Trophy winner by the name of Johnny Football, Johnny Manziel, out of Kerrville, Texas. Which, boy, that was a fucking weird scandal.
Well, you know what? And I don't say this to insult any fan base or whatever, but I think, LSU, if LSU's overhyped, then Texas A&M is just irrelevant. I'm going to go ahead and say that. They're not even in the question. Like, I would put them right there with Kentucky. And I'm a Kentucky fan, so you can't say shit about that. I'm from Kentucky. I went to school there and for a little bit. And so you can't really say I'm wrong for that because they are in the same boat right now. And that's I'm not saying that to insult A&M fans. What I am saying that for is to reflect to you that there is an escalation going on in the SEC. Oklahoma, Texas, Georgia, and Alabama are the new powerhouses in the SEC. That's just the way that works, you know.
Yep.
We were talking about if Notre Dame went into the SEC. We were talking about that yesterday, too. If Notre Dame went into the SEC, they would get clobbered. Sorry to you Notre Dame fans, because right now you've got four powerhouses that are probably going to – you're more than likely going to see all four of those guys in the college football playoff. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if all those four teams that I just mentioned are the final four in the college football playoff. I know that would be rigged as hell, but that's the way. That's what the SEC wants.
And not just that, this year Ole Miss is going to be a contender.
Yeah.
But back to what I'm saying about A&M fans. These fans, like, I genuinely don't understand how you could screw up a #1 recruiting class back in 2022 and go 5-7 that year.
Yep.
And they still brag about that. They still brag about, well, we had the #1 recruiting class in 2022. Well, where the fuck are they?
Yep.
They're not on your team anymore. They're either transferred, locked up, fucking out of football.
That's another question I was about to present is where are all your football prospects that quote unquote made it into the NFL? Johnny Football, if that's all you have to offer, then that's a sorry ass player right there.
The only one I could think of is Myles Garrett and Von Miller. That's it.
Von Miller's different. I will say that.
Myles Garrett is a different beast.
Yeah, and so was Von Miller. Von Miller was a good product, and so was Myles Garrett. But those are the only two I can think of. The rest, Alabama prospects. Like, hell, I mean, fucking, I know you don't like talking about them, but hell, if we're going to talk Super Bowls, where the fuck did the two-time reigning Super Bowl MVP fucking back-to-back champion come from? Texas Tech. Yeah. And along the same generation as Johnny Football, as all them. Like
Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly, man. Like, it's like
Kyler Murray went to A&M and transferred to where? Oklahoma.
Right.
So A&M fans talking shit to Oklahoma, saying that they won't thrive in the SEC.
And I'll even say we're looking at one right now that produced a great product that unfortunately hasn't won a Super Bowl yet, but I'm pretty sure will in the next 5 years. Joe Burrow. He's a great leader, phenomenal leader. I'll give that to you, LSU. That's not hype. That's all real. You had a good quarterback in Joe Burrow. I'll say that. Like, I hate the Bengals, but
yeah, but all I'm saying is this for A&M fans. Stop being delusional. Stop trying to talk shit when you can't cash in to the bank.
Yep. I agree.
You are nothing but mediocre. You've had one 10-win season. That actually mattered. And under Jimbo Fisher, you had that COVID year where y'all only had one loss, but y'all were just facing SEC teams.
Yep.
I guarantee you, if you had anybody on your non-conference, y'all wouldn't have won as many games. I'm just gonna put it out there.
Yep. I'll agree with that.
I genuinely think that the media only talks about A&M because of their revenue. They have a lucrative revenue. Let's keep it real. The oil money's there, but A&M is nothing short of mediocre as fuck.
Yeah, they're irrelevant. But they're not even mediocre. They're irrelevant. Like, nobody's...
They haven't won a conference championship since 1998. They haven't even contended. Okay, give me some context here, right? Missouri, a team that hasn't been relevant in the national championship scene ever.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Their first season, guess where they went?
Where's that?
Guess where they went their first season? They went to the fucking conference championship in their first season in the SEC. Where was A&M?
Nowhere to be found.
Oh, I got a thumb up my ass.
No.
Fucking that stupid ass thumb slogan that Missouri made it to the SEC championship before you guys. And they went to a recent Big 12 championship before you guys. Or after you guys.
Yep.
Make it make sense, A&M!
Yep.
Oh, y'all played in a weaker conference, OU and Texas. I'm sorry, what was that conference a struggle for you, and then you got booted out of the conference to the SEC because you didn't like the Longhorn Network? Because y'all were crying about it, Missouri was crying about it, Colorado was crying about it, Nebraska was crying about it. Make it make sense, homie. Make it make sense.
Can't.
I mean, that's my A&M bash moment of the week, I guess. I don't fucking know. But we're going to move on to the SEC championship since it's already 10 o'clock and we've burnt a lot of time.
Yep.
So this is going to be a regular season matchup. I think this is going to go 3 times. This matchup is going to go 3 times. Texas versus Georgia. They'll meet in DKR for the first time this season at DKR in Austin. Texas versus Georgia. I think that's going to be a great game, great atmosphere. But I will say that I think I have Georgia winning that game. I think that'll be Texas' only loss that season, in the regular season. I do think that Georgia is going to go 11-1 as well. Now, hear me out. Who are they going to lose to? They're going to lose to Alabama in Tuscaloosa. They're playing in Tuscaloosa, guys. So, why do you have Texas and Georgia 11-1 in the conference championship, but not Alabama? Because Alabama's going to lose a couple games, guys. They got Oklahoma. They got to travel to Oklahoma, guys. Come on now. That fucking stadium is fucking loud. I haven't, like, if you watch the games in when they play prominent teams like Florida State and other programs outside the conference, yeah, they get fucking loud up there in Norman. So I think Alabama drops a couple of games this season, but they're still going to be contenders for a playoff spot. But I got Texas and Georgia in the conference championship, both 11-1, rematch of the century is what I'll call it. And I have Texas winning the SEC championship. Why do I have Texas winning the SEC championship? What did I say earlier? You can never beat an opponent twice in a row. It's just plain facts. It's rare that you see it twice in a row. Okay? But in my case, we're going to see Georgia and Texas 3 times this year. It could be a quarterfinal. It could be a semifinal. Hell, it could be the national fucking championship game. You never know with this new bracket. But that concludes my conference outlook. But who wins it all? Who wins it all? I'll tell you who. It's the University of goddamn Texas. I think we bring back
yes, sir,
some positions that are needed. I think we upped our secondary this season. I think that we beat Oklahoma this year again. I think that we're going to have a fun time in the SEC. I think our defensive strength has grown. God damn it, I can't talk. Quinn Ewers is back. I think he's going to play his best football that we've seen him play, and he is going to be on the top of the draft boards this season. I like what I see in our receiving core. We have fresh talent that are really good. Our running backs took a toll, but we still got enough depth to say, we got Jaden Blue, we got other guys that can fill in that void. So I got Texas winning the national championship. But who's going to be my top 5 Heisman candidates this season?
Well, TJ, who do you think? Because you never sent me this for the animation, but who do you think they beat for the title? You think they beat Georgia again?
That part I don't know. It could be Georgia. It could be teams like Oregon. It could be Ohio State. It could be fucking Oklahoma State or Utah. It could be Alabama. It could be Ole Miss. It could be Clemson, for all we know. It's a very wide open national championship race for the first time in a long fucking time. Since the BCS era, where people didn't know who the fuck was going to win the national championship, you know. But let's go ahead and move on to my Heisman candidates here. I think this is going to be an interesting topic here. Number 1, I got my boy Quinn Ewers, quarterback for Texas. I think this is going to be his best season at quarterback. He's got fast weapons and a really good running back core that could help him out. Offensive line's coming back stronger than ever. Young, strong, sturdy boys on the offensive line. I think Sark's going to draw plays that we haven't seen before. I think the orbit offense of system that Sark has developed for his offense is brilliant. I like what I see out of Quinn Ewers heading into this season. Number 2, now I said that this team was overhyped, but how could you not bring in the number 1 player in college football into the Heisman conversation. Give me Travis Hunter from Colorado. Wide receiver, DB. Guy does it all. He is a rare breed that we see in college football. Guys like Miles Jack, Deion Sanders, Desmond Howard, Charles Woodson. I mean, guys like that. Travis Hunter is by far the best player in college football. There's no question about it. 3, Ollie Gordon from Oklahoma State, running back. The guy with the DUI. All right, so people are like mad about Mike Gundy, about him saying that, oh, well, I've done that 1,000 times. The legal limit's 0.8 for alcohol percentage. JB has a history with Mike Gundy. I don't want to get into it because I don't know that side. I don't know that history. I typically like Mike Gundy's coaching style. I think he's a great coach. And I liked his answer about Ollie Gordon, about him answering his transgressions towards getting that DUI. Now, on the football aspect, you got the best running back in the country in Ollie Gordon. I think he's better than Donovan Edwards. I'm just going to put that out there. I think he's better than Donovan Edwards. I think he's better than Quinshon Judkins and Trevion Henderson. I think he's better than C.J. Baxter, even though C.J. Baxter's out for the season. You're going to see a really good running back and a really good run style offense for Oklahoma State with this cat. Number 4, I got Georgia's quarterback, Carson Beck. Now, he lost a lot on the offense. Ladin McConkey, Brock Bowers to the draft. But I still think that Carson Beck is a really good, talented quarterback, especially in today's quarterback era where they're fucking mediocre as fuck. But I like what I see out of Carson Beck. Number 5, I have Noah Fifita out of Arizona. I think Arizona could have made it to my dark horse on my Big 12, but that would be undermining Arizona's players and team. I think Arizona's going to be a contender for the Big 12 championship this season, and Noah Fifita and McMillan are going to be a big part of it. I think that what's going to hinder Arizona is their defense, but I think Noah Fifita has a really good receiving core, and he's a really talented quarterback for Arizona. So those are my top 5 candidates for the Heisman. And we will move on to my college football predictions for this weekend, since college football starts this weekend. I am super excited. We're going to see a brand new look where 2 ACC opponents will face each other. Game number 1, Florida State, the Noles, the team that should have went to the playoffs last season. New face, same old coach, different team. Versus Haynes King and Georgia Tech, who's gotten a little bit more hype this season. I think this is going to be a pretty good game as far as being able to play offense. I think Georgia Tech's defense is a lot tougher than what people think. They played Georgia's offense really well last season. The question is, can Haynes King perform against teams like Florida State, like teams against Georgia? I don't think so. I think that he is years behind at quarterback. And I'm going to go with Florida State winning this game 38-24. Even though I got Florida State overhyped, doesn't mean that I don't think that they won't be an ACC championship contender. But I got them winning 38-24. Next game we're going to talk about, Montana State. First FCS school to talk about this season. And we normally don't talk about FCS schools here on the PMP unless it's like for week 0 or week 1 or whatever. They're going to travel to take on the New Mexico Lobos. Oh boy. How could I say this very nicely? Montana State's favorite to win this game. And Montana State's a pretty good FCS school. I'm going to go with the favorites. Montana State 27-13 in this matchup. I think that New Mexico is a very terrible fucking... Their athletic director just went to Houston. I think New Mexico is a fucking horrible football program. That's just my opinion. Next game we're going to talk about. JMO's UNR, Nevada Wolfpack.
Oh boy.
Plays host to the new ACC member, SMU Mustangs. Now, I like Preston Stone in this matchup. I think that he's going to be able to dot the secondaries for Nevada. But I think it's going to be low scoring for SMU. 31-17, I got the Mustangs winning that. The Pony Express will go 1-0 to start off their new campaign in the ACC. Last game we're going to talk about. Now, this is a fucking crazy story. Delaware State travels over to Hawaii. Probably the last FCS school we're going to talk about besides North Dakota State and South Dakota State next week. But Delaware State, they missed their fucking flight to go to Hawaii. JMO, did you hear about that?
No, I didn't.
So, they missed their fucking flight, so they had to get a last-minute flight to go to Hawaii. As if that was bad enough. They got to travel from Delaware to fucking, from Delaware to fucking Hawaii, which is like this on a fucking map, okay? Or this on a map. I don't know which way I'm facing, but who gives a fuck? It's far. It's like fucking several thousand miles out. But anyway, I think Hawaii has a pretty decent team this season, and they're going to mollywop the fuck out of Delaware State. 38-7. I got them winning that matchup. And that concludes the Week 0 predictions. That concludes my predictions for the entire season. For conference champions, who I think is going to be dark horses, who I think is going to be fucking overrated or overhyped, who I think is going to be the fucking Heisman candidates. So, yeah, that's all I have for tonight. But me and JMO had a deep conversation about this particular topic that me and him kind of wanted to talk about at the end of the show. JMO, do you care to talk about it since it revolves around the SEC and your Kentucky Wildcats?
Yeah, so I think so like I said, there's a big escalation problem in the SEC. You know, like, and I think I really think that with teams like Georgia, Texas, Oklahoma, and, you know, like Alabama all being, you know, like in the same conference now, you know, I think that teams that we mentioned previously, such as South Carolina, such as Kentucky, such as Vanderbilt, Tennessee, you know, like they're going to be, you know, like they really... Realistically, they don't have a place in the conference.
Shuffle, basically.
They realistically don't have a place in the conference anymore. So, and it's unfortunate for me to say because, you know, they've been an integral part of the SEC for so long. Hell, I'd even tie Mizzou into that. And they've been an integral part of the SEC for so long, but now, you know, the SEC is becoming really a powerhouse. That's what they want to become. So they want to
be the conference with the most best teams in that conference. They want to be
they want to dominate the college football playoff every time. You know, that's what they want to do. So I think So here's what I think, right? A popular team that got mentioned in the slides but didn't get mentioned by either of us, TJ, in the ACC right now is Louisville, right? And I think it's, if you look at basketball as well, the Kentucky-Louisville rivalry has always been, it's been high stakes, but it hasn't really been as high of stakes as I think it could be, right? So I think if you're the SEC, if you're the ACC, I think here's what you do. And a lot of people are going to, hate on this, but I don't care. I think this is a smart move. So if you're the ACC right now, you got 3 championship contenders that I think you offer up. That's Clemson, FSU, and Miami. And I really think Miami, I would call them, did we say they were a dark horse? No, we said they were going to be,
No. They're in the conference.
They were going to be the conference champions, yeah. So I think Miami, and honestly, I don't really know why they're not a part of the SEC. Like, I really don't know, because they are contenders. I think they are. I think they can keep up. I think
the reason
more so, yeah.
I think the main reason why Miami is not in the SEC, which is really a weird thing because of the past history that they've had.
Yeah.
With the early '90s Miami, the early '80s and '70s Miami, and also the early 2000s Miami. If you want to look that deep into it, like Miami historically has been a really prominent program in football.
for sure.
But it's the problems that lie around it, the swagger that they had, that really scares the SEC. And I think it's kind of leaning towards Florida State that way too. That's why you're looking at the Big 12 right now, looking into getting Clemson and Florida State, and it's becoming more of a reality, more and more every day.
Well,
but
so
I think the ACC has a tight bonding right now between Clemson and Florida State. Those are the 2 fucking programs right now that are trying to get out of their contract. That are trying, because Clemson found out that they had a breach in their contract with the ACC. Like the ACC breached their contract. So Clemson is trying to get out of that contract to possibly go to the SEC or Big 12. And then the Big 10 had a little bit to do with that conversation, but it right now it's just SEC and Big 12 neck and neck to get to Clemson.
Here's what I think you do. If you're the ACC, right? You have 2 rivalries here that you could really set up and increase. Actually, really 2. I would venture off and say potentially 3, but no, I think mainly 2. So you have a Florida rivalry, right? So if you're the ACC, you have 3 teams in Clemson, FSU, and Miami, right? You have 3 big championship contenders that honestly, I think right now in the state that the SEC is in, I think they can do more than keep up. I really do. You have Kentucky, Vanderbilt, and Tennessee on the other side of the SEC, one of which has a huge rivalry with somebody from the ACC, and that's Kentucky with Louisville, right?
Yep.
And that's not only in football, that's in basketball as well, right? I think if you move Kentucky from the SEC to the ACC, those stakes increase tenfold. And I think you do a lot, and you bring a lot more money in because that rivalry is now.
It would definitely make the rivalry mean more.
Right?
And like I said yesterday, I would try to get Louisville to get into the SEC, since now the college football realignment era is taking place.
Right.
We're moving into 3 super conferences right now. The Big 12 has stepped their game up. The ACC's behind. The Big 10 already got their fucking 4 teams. The SEC are really trying to be greedy and try to get Florida State and Clemson. So pretty much the SEC, Big 10, and Big 12 are pretty much the world eaters right now, essentially.
Yeah. Well, I think.
But if the Big 12 gets a hold of Clemson and Florida State, there's massive fucking implications that fall along that power through. Now, SEC or Big Ten claim hold to Florida State and Clemson, there's really no debating what two conferences are prominent.
Yeah. Well,
now, if just the SEC grabs a hold of Florida State and Clemson, there's really no denying who's the best conference.
Well,
but,
I think here's what's going to go down. I think either the Big 10 or Big 12 gets a hold of Clemson, right? But FSU and maybe potentially Miami, if they go anywhere, will definitely go to the SEC. Because you also have a rivalry between Florida and Florida State. I could see that happening for sure. Because Florida State has belonged... They've been trying to get into the SEC for a long time, and I think it's well overdue that they become a part of the SEC.
I want to say the reason why they didn't make the move to the SEC is because of Bobby Bowden.
Yeah, I agree.
Like Bobby Bowden did not want to go into the SEC at all.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Like thinking that we want to be the representative of a conference, not be a representative, but we want to be the representative of that conference. Right. And for the longest time, Florida State and Miami were battling for that top spot, And then it was Florida State and Clemson for a while, So
but think about this.
I completely understand why Bobby Bowden didn't want to go to the SEC with Florida State. Like Florida State, he didn't want Florida State to go into the SEC, but now that Bobby Bowden is gone, rest in peace. One of the best coaches in college football history. Now Florida State could potentially go, we can make more revenue with this rivalry between Florida State and Florida in the SEC. And then if you bring along Miami, you get the triad of Florida right there.
Right. Well, you
get the Bermuda Triangle of Florida in the SEC, which is fucking huge. If you're talking as far as like rivalries and revenue. And then just imagine Florida State versus Texas, Miami versus Oklahoma, Florida State versus Alabama, Miami versus LSU.
Right.
Revenue share is insane.
Well, and I think even if, so let's, I was just thinking to myself right now, let's say Clemson goes elsewhere, right? Let's say Clemson goes to the Big 10 or Big 12, then Miami doesn't move at all, right? Let's say Vanderbilt and Tennessee don't want to move either, even though it would be in their best interest to move, right? I think you make that one trade.
I think Vanderbilt would thrive in the
ACC.
Yes. Like they don't need to be in Division 1. They suck.
No, they need to bump down to Division 2. I think you're right.
On a serious note, they besides their football program, they're good at every sport except for basketball.
I think if you just make one simple trade, and that's FSU and Kentucky, think about it. FSU comes to the SEC. That's even big revenue right there, because now you have a rivalry between Florida and Florida State, and you also have a couple other rivalries, and you have a team that can compete against the best of the best in the SEC. And then Kentucky goes to the ACC, where not just one of their rivalries, but two of their rivals are. You now have a rivalry between Kentucky and Louisville and Kentucky and North Carolina, and that's not just in football; that's in basketball as well. And that, being mostly a basketball fan, the stakes have never been super, super high in those two games. The rivalry always has been, but the stakes have never been super, super high. It's like, oh, okay, we lost. Yeah. Big deal. But now, I think if you move Kentucky to the ACC, those games matter more than ever before. They matter more than ever before, because now, not only is Kentucky versus Louisville and Kentucky versus North Carolina a rivalry game, it is also now a conference game. And now, also, in their football program, Mark Stoops and Brock Vandegrift have an opportunity to capitalize. You have an opportunity to be like, okay, Kentucky versus Louisville. This is because I'm going to be honest, with the state that the SEC is in right now, I don't think Kentucky has a place to shine. I really don't. Yeah. I think they need to rebuild, and the only way to do that is to go to the ACC, because I think the SEC is right now it's oversaturated with the champions. You know, like it's a champion league. Kentucky does not have a foothold to even compete. And I know I'm trash talking my team right now. I know I'm saying,
I
they
don't
really
think you're
don't.
trash talking.
I'm just being honest. You know,
Yeah,
they
being
don't have a
honest.
leg. They don't have a leg to compete on right now. They really don't.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that I'm saying that, but I think all these moves with Brock Vandegrift transferring from Georgia to Kentucky, who is a phenomenal quarterback, by the way. You have Kentucky's defense, who has been doing really, really well against teams they can actually match up against, right? And then you have Mark Stoops, who is a phenomenal head coach. I just don't think they've been given a fair opportunity to compete, and I also think that their games against North Carolina and Louisville haven't meant shit because they haven't been in the same conference. You move Kentucky to the ACC, they will shine, and they will show you how much they will improve. And then eventually, once they do get that improvement and they do establish that rep, it's not only a good basketball team, but a good football team, then you maybe consider putting them back in the SEC. But I don't know. I think they grow further in the ACC. I really do. And I think you leave them there for a little bit, and I think, I think that move is good. And then FSU benefits from that as well, because then they have a couple rivals in the SEC that they can go up against, namely Florida. Florida versus Florida State has always been a rivalry. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that's like the rivalry in Florida.
Yeah, so I think there, if you want to make a money move right there, Clemson, give or take. I'm sorry to say that, but they can go to the Big 10, Big 12.
Rivalries would be consisting of South Carolina and Georgia.
Right.
Which really, Clemson and Georgia is more like a money grab rivalry. Really.
Right. But they can go to the Big 10 or Big 12, and they can succeed anywhere. You know what I mean? But I think FSU, it's only natural they go to the SEC. It is only natural because it's honestly
where they are. It's opening Pandora's box to what we could actually see FSU do in the SEC, and the recruiting would be sporadic.
Yeah,
like you would see recruiting at an all-time high in the SEC.
Yes, sir.
If you get Florida State in there as well, and
yes, sir.
And then you add fucking Miami to the mix.
Oh yeah, Miami would be wonderful. That would be a jackpot grab. If you could get FSU and Miami in one go. Hell, I would say, okay, here's what I would do. If you were going to drag Miami into it, take South Carolina with Kentucky. And now you have two in-state rivalries, because South Carolina can't really compete either in the SEC nowadays. So you drag them over to the ACC.
Let me ask you this real quick before.
Mm-hmm.
So if Clemson decides to stay in the ACC, hypothetically.
Yeah.
South Carolina and Clemson in the ACC.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's a big rivalry in South Carolina.
Yeah. I think that would work. Especially if Clemson stays, which I'm not sure they will. But, you have two rivalries there, too. Think about it. You have North Carolina and South Carolina.
Yeah,
Think about that. That's an in-state rivalry. And like I said, the stakes have never been that high, but I think they will be higher. Yeah. And that's really, because honestly, with the way the ACC is going now, they're going to become the pinnacle of irrelevancy. I'm sorry. Because they're going to lose their three championship contenders, and they're no longer going to be a part. It's going to be the Power 3 if they keep on going the way they have been.
Yeah. They got cocky and arrogant.
Yep.
And they let the Big 12 grab a... Let me just say this. What I said earlier about UCF, why the ACC made a mistake into not grabbing UCF before the Big 12, UCF really would have fit into that role in the ACC. USF, too. Let's just keep it a buck.
Yeah.
It would have helped their recruiting for sure. Yeah. The ACC got cocky and arrogant.
Yep.
And didn't think that we don't need UCF. Think about the rivalries that they would have had with Florida State, USF, fucking North Carolina State open up a new or an old rivalry with, or not old rivalry, but open up an old conference opponent with Syracuse.
Yeah.
Pitt. I mean, you're talking former Big East teams going at it with each other, you know, and I don't know, man. Like the ACC, in the direction that they're heading, they're sabotaging themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
They really are.
Right.
They're basically going off of that 2036 expiration date, which in the business world, you should never go off of a ending of a contract.
Right.
Because it's never guaranteed.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like when a coach signs for a 4-year extension, is he going to stay for that 4 years? Hell no. What if he goes 0-24 that following year? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not guaranteed.
It's not. It really isn't.
That a contract's ending is going to be the end. You could end that contract sooner.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why Jimbo Fisher got fired the way he did.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
How much money A&M gave him.
Yeah.
Per year, you know.
Well,
and
I honestly think you're absolutely right. I think the ACC is just going towards irrelevancy. This is the way you save it. Like, I think Kentucky and FSU, that trade-off is your biggest move. And then if you really want...
It's the safest move.
Yeah, because you get... Especially if you get Kentucky... I think Vanderbilt... I think I was overambitious to say... I think Vanderbilt really should, in all seriousness, bump down to FCS. I'm sorry for you Vandy fans out there. They just can't compete. They can't compete with anyone, especially in the Power Four. If you really want to get honest here, I think you move them to a different conference. I think you move them to Ohio Valley. Which is Murray State. Bad? Yeah, I think you move them to Ohio Valley with Murray State, with Middle Tennessee, with Troy. Like, I honestly think, I think Troy is a better football team, and they can compete better in the SEC.
Okay, you're not saying Ohio Valley. You're saying Sun Belt Conference now.
Oh no! Sorry. No. But yeah, I think if you let's say Troy took the place of Vandy, I think they would compete more from the Sun Belt Conference. If you move Vandy to the Sun Belt Conference,
really?
And you move Troy into the SEC, I think they would have a better chance. I really do.
Wow.
Vandy's just awful. They've gotten horrible right now. I don't even think they could compete in the SEC.
Here's what I would do.
Kentucky versus Vandy right now. Kentucky versus Vanderbilt right now, which is going to be a conference game this year. I think Kentucky clears. I really do, especially with the changes that they've made. You know,
it'd honestly be the lowest rated SEC game this year.
But that's what I'm saying is, and Kentucky doesn't get the and call me a biased fan or whatever. I don't care at this point. You know, like Kentucky, they are making major improvements and they are not getting the attention they deserve. And neither is South Carolina, neither is Tennessee, because that escalation is happening. You know, like I think LSU, has bumped down, and then I think along the other teams with the introduction of Oklahoma and Texas, the other teams in the SEC bumped down along with them. I think Mizzou, I think South Carolina, I think Texas A&M, I think Kentucky, I think Vanderbilt, Tennessee, they're all just irrelevant now because you have these teams opening. And honestly, you just need to put other teams in the SEC to compete with your powerhouse teams. I think FSU and Miami definitely moved to the SEC.
You need the same roundabout caliber teams in your conference.
Right, but you get to give them
look
a
at
fair
the Mid-American Conference, the MAC, right?
Yeah.
Every year they have a different champion, basically. They have the same amount. They have the same caliber of teams, and they're pretty good teams. Sun Belt Conference is getting that way too, with the rise of Texas State, you know. And I got them winning the Sun Belt this year. And one more thing before we end the show, guys. I'm not a real big fan of this conference realignment. Like, as soon as Texas and Oklahoma made the move, which I thought that was a smart move for Texas and Oklahoma, I just think every conference panicked. Like, they hit the fucking reset button. That's why you got the Pac-12 turned into the Pac-2 because they didn't get enough revenue share.
Yeah.
After USC and UCLA made the move to the Big Ten.
Yep.
Which, financially, it makes sense. Geographically, it doesn't.
Right. Yeah. Well, and none of these moves, really, if you think about it, make sense. Like, okay, no, the moves that I was propositioning make sense geographically. Because Louisville, if they're going to be in the ACC, Louisville is actually further south than Kentucky. And I know the ACC is pretty, like, up, kind of like up north-ish.
Oh, they're all East Coast.
Yeah,
they're all
but
East Coast.
it's not, you know, why is Kentucky, who is more up north than Louisville, in the SEC, and Louisville is not? If we're going to talk Southeastern Conference, you know, then Louisville should either be in the Southeastern Conference or Kentucky should be in the ACC. I really think geographically it makes sense too, if you look at it that way. It's like, okay.
You're absolutely right. But I think the reason why they have Kentucky instead of Louisville, I don't know anything about it. It could be academics.
It could be. It could be that they want the money, that the school wants the money. But honestly, I really think they would bring a lot more football money in if you gave them a shot. Because right now, I'm not talking shit. I love my team. I love Mark Stoops, and I love Vandergrip. I hope he does well. But I'm just saying, I don't think they have a shot in hell this year against a power. I mean, their third game this year is against number 1 Georgia. How are you gonna compete against number 1 Georgia? You can't.
And then you got Texas later down the road.
Yeah. Like, you cannot, you really cannot compete. I'm saying, yeah, Kentucky is a mid-level team right now in the SEC, but a mid-level team in the SEC can compete in the ACC. And I think you put them in the ACC, you let Clemson go to the Big 10 or Big 12, right?
I think Kentucky into the Big 10 would be a good move.
Maybe. Actually, I think they would be a better fit in the ACC, though, because you have two rivalry games.
I agree with that.
They will pick up.
I'm just saying, like,
because
as far as like geographically,
yeah,
you're up there, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
Lexington's pretty close to the Big Ten country out there too.
Yeah,
so.
they are.
But I get what you're saying from a talent aspect. They fit better in the ACC than Big Ten.
Well, and I think geographically too, they're right in line with Louisville, North Carolina. So I think you introduce that. Yeah, I think that makes sense. So, yeah.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
But wow, that was a good conversation. But
yes, sir.
That concludes the show, folks. If you want to tune in next week, we will be back on live Tuesday. I swear to God, we'll be back on Tuesday night at around 8 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay. Sorry we did this live so late, but we had to get it right for you guys. I wanted this show to be just right. JMO wanted this show to be just right. I feel like we had a banger of a show. We kicked ass tonight. JMO, I want to thank you for coming on, giving your insight on a lot of the college football aspect. I want to do more of this with JMO and K-Dub whenever he comes back in, just to give his insight on the NFL side. So we'll have, what I'm thinking is we'll have segments with K-Dub with him on the NFL side, so that way he has his own little segment, whereas I'm on the show the entire however long it is. talking about college and NFL because those two are my bread and butter, you know. But I'm more college football than NFL. That's why we have Cato. But
hey,
I would like.
You also, sorry to interrupt, but you also wanted to stream some college football 2025, right?
Yeah. So also, I do want to try to stream some college football 25. JMO's going to hit me up with a couple of things on OBS. It's going to be challenging, but for me, because I never streamed with a face cam or whatever, but I think PlayStation has a deal where I could stream on the PMP, stream a couple of college football 25. I want to try to do like a dynasty where it's me as a coach. I'm already doing it now, but I'll restart a whole new one just for the pod. That's the sacrifices I would make because that's the type of guy I am. And we'll have a poll out. I don't know when or how soon it'll be, but we'll have a poll out saying, or pretty much have an elimination style, who should I coach, basically, and whoever has the highest votes, that's who I'll be as a coach. And what position coach will I be? Defense coordinator, offense coordinator, head coach? That's for y'all to decide. I want y'all to decide it, not me. Because that would be unfair to y'all. I am for the people, not for me. So that will be a future thing. It's not going to be a right this second. We're going to get through the season first before that might be an off-season thing, JMO.
All right.
Like in between the combine and the draft. So that could be a deal. I don't know. I might get Madden 25 too. I played the trial a little bit. Gotta say, Caleb, if you're still on here, listen to this because I got a couple of things to say about the trial. It's a little bit better than the last couple of Maddens I've played, but I want K-Dub's opinion on Madden because he is the sim head of all sim heads. He does this shit for a living when he's not working. Believe me, I know. I've been to his house. I fucking deal with it all the time. He adjusts rosters. He does it on games from the past, from the PlayStation 3 eras to the Xbox 360 eras to the fucking PlayStation 2 eras. Adjusts the rosters to today's rosters. Does the most accurate ratings. I mean, JMO, this is a fucking simhead when I say that. That's why he is known as Simhead Academy.
Yes,
and
sir.
that's why I call him the simhead of all simheads. The guy's a fucking calculus once it comes to this shit. And it drives me insane how he knows all this shit, how he does all this shit. So we'll bring him on and talk more about it. Hopefully next Tuesday. I'll give him a call every once in a while, see how he's doing, ask about the fam. I know he's gonna try to come down sometime. I'm not entirely too sure when, but he's wanting to come down to visit. So it'll be during football season too, JMO. So we might have a collab.
Ooh, very nice. All right.
So you'll get to see my sectional couch. Not sexual, sectional.
It sounded a lot like you said sexual, but
Yes,
I was like,
yeah.
whatever.
So, yeah, you'll see me and him talk about football, basically, I guess, if he comes down during football season. But, yeah, I want to try to get more video games involved, like Madden and college football. Kind of just, like, go over a couple of things. But, yeah,
Sure.
I love college football 25. I can't get enough of it. Inject it into my veins, dude.
Yes, sir.
But I really, really enjoy it. Like, I'm the offensive coordinator for Texas State right now. I led them to a 9-4 season in the Big 12, by the way.
Nice.
Which, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. And you can adjust your conferences. And the cool thing about moving teams into different conferences, they don't keep their old conference patches like NCAA 14 used to do, but they put the new conference patches on there. Like, say if Texas State moved from the Sun Belt Conference to the Big 12, like I have them, they had the Big 12 conference on their pads or on their jersey. So that's one thing I like about it. It's some minor details I love.
Yes, sir.
I just wish Madden would be able to adjust the conferences, like move teams from division to division, or swap divisions, so that way we could have a geographically make sense. What am I trying to say? Division. Like, for instance, a really good North would be comprised of Green Bay, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Cincinnati. Or actually, no, scratch Green Bay.
Oh, I was about to
scratch Green Bay and put Detroit in there.
Yeah,
I would call that.
I think Green Bay was a good pick. I would say.
No, Green Bay would be a good pick, but I got them in a different division. I would have them with the Colts. The Bears.
I think, to be fair, honestly,
we'll have to do another fucking show for that.
That's more a talk box. I'd have to think about that one pretty hard. So.
Yeah, we'll do that this off season. Talk about hypothetical divisions, how we would line up our divisions. I'll have my whiteboard up if I could get my stand together properly. That fucking piece of shit. But
yeah, those of you who don't know, TJ's on a Chromebook right now. We're actually doing Discord visuals right now. We're doing Discord video, and then we're doing Zoom audio. So
Zoom audio. And you got a microphone underneath my phone, so
yep.
Yeah. It's pretty incredible, and and there might be times I might throw out the whiteboard whenever I talk about the Cowboys or the Longhorns and I have an issue with one of their plays or issues with their defense, and I might rant like fucking JB when I do it.
Yeah, that would be cool.
It is what it is, because I criticize my teams more than I criticize other teams. That's the difference between me and a casual. Because I know how to criticize and tear my team apart.
Yep. Yes, sir.
And so we got a lot of big plans for the PMP, especially with the video game side. I'm real excited. I might go on JMO's channel too. Tune in to his channels. Go ahead and advertise yourself, JMO.
What, Twitch got so I stream over at twitch.tv/gojamo. I haven't streamed in a bit. I've been going through some stuff, trying to get a line for school and everything. Also, financially, I haven't been the best, so I wasn't even able to go to the Destiny convention this year. That's okay.
It's life.
Yeah, it happens. So I'm just trying to get everything adjusted right now. But once I do, I'll probably be back to streaming. Right now, Destiny 2 is not in a good spot right now either. A lot of stuff's going on as far as like the multiplayer stuff and everything. Trials of Osiris, which is the competitive game mode, actually saw the least amount of players it's ever had since 2021. So 109,000 players this weekend. And I don't know if that's attributed to the Destiny 2 convention or not. I'm pretty sure it's not because a lot of those guys came back on Sunday. But it's right now I'm trying more variety like a lot of other content creators. So don't be expecting a lot of, if I do stream, don't be expecting a lot of Destiny 2. It'll probably just be more like variety, like horror games, RPGs. I really want to get this, there's a game out there that just came out. I've heard of it, but I don't really know how to pronounce the title, and I don't really want to because, you know, like, but apparently it's a really good game. It's like all about a like ninja monkey, I think. I don't know, but
Black Myth Wukong.
Thank you. Black Myth
it's
Wukong.
It's Sun Wukong, Chinese myth.
Yeah.
No,
I'd
I
like
think
to try that.
I gotta tell you, the fucking voice acting for the English dub,
very good, or is it shit?
You're probably gonna want to be like, yeah, I'll listen to the Chinese dub and just read.
Yeah.
Like,
I've heard though the gameplay is really good.
It's so fucking cringe. Like, it's fucking cringe, man.
Well, let me tell you, I didn't really like. Like I said, the whole Pete Parsons situation with Bungie kind of pissed me off. So, and honestly, Final Shape it was a good DLC, but right now it's just not the place to go. So I think I'll play a little bit of Destiny 2. I'll do my weekly dues, but then after that, I'm gonna move on to different games. And honestly, I'm probably not even gonna have the time for it because I gotta do college stuff. So we'll see what happens. But if I do stream, it'll be on twitch.tv/GoJamo. Be looking out for me this weekend. I'll probably be back on. But yeah, that's all I got to say about that. So also, because they went live, I saw their live notification on my phone while we were up. Riding High Sports is also doing their NFL and college football predictions right now. I know they've shown you a lot of love, TJ, in the past. They're doing their video right now.
Derek, Cantu, Lucky Lamar, love them guys, man. Like, I met Lucky the last episode. That was a fucking fun. If you want to go tune into Ryan High Sports or Ryan High Podcast, they have an excellent variety of podcasts. They talk about conspiracy theories. They talk about news. They even have their own sports podcasting side. They've had MB Riders on, you know, that rap group that so fly, so cool. Those guys. They brought those fucking guys on. So yeah, it's an honor to be a part of that group, to be on their show, you know, and they're just right down the road, about 50 minutes out, you know. So if they need me on, I'm on, you know, like, they're like my other family over there now. So I just shit. We played the new college football game at Derek's place, where we do the shooting for the Ryan High Sports, and let's just say I won.
That's awesome.
I don't even play Xbox. I play PlayStation, so.
And then also you got the Gridiron 64 going strong right now as well.
Yes. So we'll be doing that every Monday. It'll be me and a couple other guys on there talk about Texas high school football, predominantly the South Texas high school scene, where I'll talk about my alma mater, Ingleside High School. Shout out to the Mustangs. Go Big Blue. I'll be doing commentary every Friday from here on out as well, until the season's over with for Ingleside High School. But yeah, shout out to the Gridiron 64, GT Sports, and also Mustang Pride Never Dies Sports Network. Also shout out to Coach Travis Chrisman from Ingleside High School for allowing me to commentate y'all's games last season and now ongoing this year. He's a great dude. He's got a wonderful family. Coaches, open arms. I love Ingleside, man. They treat me like a family member. You know, like every time I come in, they invite me to into the coach's room. I get to talk to various different coaches around the area as well. As a matter of fact, one of the better schools out here, Corpus Christi Miller, for JMO's information, they're gonna play the number 1 team in the state,
Ooh, okay.
DeSoto Eagles, in San Antonio. So they're gonna get their hands full against Claude Mathis, who I found this out the other day playing college football 25. Did you know that DeSoto's head coach is the record holder for rushing yards for Texas State?
Oh wow, that's really cool. That's awesome. That's really.
I didn't
awesome.
know that until I first started playing college football 25, and I was going through my season after the season, and this was whenever I did a 12-team dynasty. I recommend you people do not do that shit because it is taxing on your soul. And I was going through Texas State's records because I was curious. And there it was, Claude Mathis, the head coach for DeSoto, record holder for Texas State rushing yards.
Wow.
I was like, what the hell? How about that?
That is awesome.
And that was whenever they were Southwest Texas State.
Yep.
So,
you know, I'm really glad they brought back college football because so I remember it was a really cool moment. So the record holder for Kentucky I think it was national touchdowns back when the last college football came out was Corey Robinson. He was a high school quarterback out of Lone Oak High School, which if you guys don't know, Lone Oak High School in Paducah, Kentucky, that's where I came from. So that high school no longer exists, but Corey Robinson was the record holder, and I got to play as him on NCAA college football because they put him in the game as QB6 as a starting quarterback, and I was like, man, this is a really cool moment. Yeah, he was QB number 6, and I was like, I know who that is. I know who that is. QB number 6 always. He was number 5 at our high school. But he was number 6 over there, and I was like, yeah, I know exactly who that is. And he was starting. They had him as like I think 85 or 86, and I was like,
yeah,
dang.
he was a cold motherfucker on there. Like
Corey Robinson, yeah, really good, really good player.
I get fucking pissed every time I play against Kentucky.
No, he was Troy's quarterback. He was Troy's quarterback.
Oh, Troy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I played as ULM, and I played against Troy, and I was like,
yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah, he was honestly, Troy still holds him in high esteem because he's one of the best quarterbacks to come out of there.
Yeah.
He actually, for people that don't know, he played for the Browns for a little bit, but then he got beat out by Johnny Manziel, which I think was like that ended up being actually no, I think when Baker Mayfield and Johnny Manziel were competing for the spot, he got beat by Baker and Johnny.
Oh, Baker was years after Manziel was out of the league.
Who? Hold up. Who was? I gotta look that up now. Who was the other quarterback? Let me see.
He got beat out.
No, hold up a second.
Remember.
Let's see. Corey Robinson. But yeah, he was a really cool dude, man. Great quarterback.
Yeah. He pissed me the fuck off every day against him. As ULM, I was like, motherfucker, are you serious?
Yeah.
Like,
he's now Paducah Tillman's head coach. So since Lone Oak doesn't exist anymore, so yeah.
Damn, that's a shame.
Yeah.
I hate when high school shut down, dude. Like, we get it all the time here.
Yeah,
and,
I do too. It sucks, but
yeah, man. I'm gonna try to get college football 25 up and rolling on the PMP.
Yep.
And try to play some college football 25 on there against. Do a dynasty or play online. You might see me rage a lot because I am a rager. I'm more of a silent rager than anything now. back then I would break fucking controllers left and right. Just ask my dad. But yeah, I'm gonna try to get things going with the college football 25 onto the show, and we might have some highlights of me playing college football 25 and kind of breaking it down as we go. JMO,
yes, sir.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds awesome, man. I'll be glad to help you out with that. That'll be dope.
Yeah, so yeah, just tune in for future lives where I'm either playing or going over college football 25, how things go with my gameplay. I typically think I'm a pretty good college football 25 player. I don't know if I would compete in one of these fucking tournaments or whatever, but
I will say, from what I've learned in Destiny 2 tournaments, it's different when money's on the line. Like, people play differently.
Oh, yeah.
People play way differently. So.
Yeah, you definitely. I think that goes along with anything. Like, if you play pool for money, your focus is like.
Yeah, it's like, okay,
just take a
we
look
got
at
$1,000 on the line.
Look at Fresh Prince of Bel-Air whenever Uncle Phil was.
Yeah.
He pretty much bamboozled that guy, and was like, Jeffrey, bring out Lucille, and then rolled up the sleeves like that.
Yep. Yep.
I fucking love Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But anyways, it's 11 o'clock. It's way past time off here. I want to thank everybody for sticking with us that continue to watch this show, that are now watching the show. Please subscribe and leave a like, leave a comment. I want to thank JMO for being on here for the sacrifice that he makes every day for this show.
Always.
And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Tune in next week, Tuesday, 8 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Time. We are the greatest damn show on this damn platform known as YouTube, known as Twitch, soon to be other platforms, but I'm not going to name them because JMO will look at me crazy. But anyways, we are the PMP, the cream of the crop, the best on top. Tune in next week, next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Thank you so much. Goodbye, mwah, and good night, bang.
Not the type of person concerned with what I can do. Woosah, fuck the hoopla. I saw what I saw. Fuck what you saw. I've been on my day to day. Disappear like David Blaine.